Now, The Black Mass is a 2023 psychological horror that gives a first-hand experience inside the psyche of serial killer Ted Bundy. Now, this movie explores what it's like to spend a full 24 hours with one of the world's most sadistic madmen.
Those are the fucking phone lines! Fuck!
So, why should you watch this movie? Reason number one, The Accomplice.
Well, before I help you out, what's your name?
What do you think it is?
This movie is not just a film about Ted Bundy's crimes. No, this puts the viewer in a fly-on-the-wall situation as we go on a sort of ride-along with Ted as he scouts, stalks, charms, and ultimately kills unsuspecting women. But actually, that doesn't really explain what this movie is. It really puts the viewer in a sort of an accomplice scenario. You know, the filmmakers do this by not showing Bundy's face at all. I mean, you really never see a full-on shot of the actor. So you're forced to picture the actual face of Bundy as the rapes and murders happen. I mean, you witness it, but are completely powerless to stop the inevitable. Reason number two, Unhinged.
It's an insult, Ted. Calm down.
Now, the ugly beauty of this movie involves a Bundy that most of the world doesn't seem to know. Now, typically, he's this suave, charming, unassuming, and attractive guy who lures women to their ultimate death. But in this movie, it depicts an older Ted who's lost his luster. I mean, he's lost his ability to pull women easily. He spent some time in prison, and he's a known creep by this point, and police are hot on his trail. But now the women are scared. They're less trusting in this society. So because Ted is no longer that pretty boy who can charm these young girls away, he's without that facade to lean on, and all he has now is just a depraved mind, and he's using brute force, and his acts are much more visceral as time goes on. So we get a first-hand perspective of Ted in his most evil form. Reason number three, the kink. Let's not forget that this movie is basically you hanging out with Ted as he scout, stalk, rape, and murder. I mean, the first 50 minutes is how Ted sees his own crimes. I mean, he appears to link the killings with sexual gratification. One of the more prominent scenes involves voyeurism. I mean, he watches one of the college girls undress, and then he starts to masturbate. But he takes it a step further. I mean, he starts to imagine this girl who's undressing, and he starts to see her rip her skin off her body. And then there's another instance where he's raping this other girl, and he starts to bite her in some of her more erogenous zones. And this proves that killing wasn't because he hated his victims. To him, it was just a natural progression of sex. Reason number four, violence. Now, this movie gets violent, but it's not like your slasher violence. I mean, this is visceral. It's dirty. It's ugly. It's just bleak carnage. I mean, there's no style or artistic license being used here. The type of violence in this movie is just unforgiving and almost soulless. It's hard to watch. I mean, it takes a while before Bundy starts to attack, but once he does, it's a tough watch. I mean, it feels like you're watching a snuff film, and to be honest, it feels like you're co-starring in a snuff film with him. Reason number five, the end.
The end for Ted Bundy, a 42-year-old killer who left a trail of at least 20 murders from one end of the country to the other, came in the electric chair of Florida State Prison.
Now, if you know the story of Ted Bundy, one of the saving graces is that we know how the story ends. His reign of crime results in the electric chair. But even with that ending, the movie takes you on a journey to let you see the full weight of Bundy's evil. But the question is why? While you can argue that most depictions of serial killer movies celebrate the killer, but this movie puts you in such an uncomfortable position that makes you feel, if just for a little while, what the victims went through. So yeah, this movie celebrates both Bundy's victims as well as his survivors. But in the end, evil is defeated. Now in the end, the Black Mass was a surreal experience. It was created to show you evil to feel repulsed. I think they did a good job with this because I went into this movie blind. I mean, no trailer, no prior knowledge or anything. And all of a sudden you watch this and then it hits you like a ton of bricks. I mean, it feels real. It feels authentic. It feels like you watch people die on camera, and it feels like you're co-starring in a snuff film. I mean, it's not easy to sit through, but I do recommend you watch it. And until next time, when CEDtalks horror.